The whole investigation into the classified documents, top secret documents, nuclear documents, national defense documents that Trump may or may not have had down there at Mar-a-Lago, that entire situation is getting so weird. And even me, doing a whole bunch of research on the topic, listening to former federal agents break it down, listen to lawyers do the exact same thing. And here's the thing, man, this is such an unprecedented investigation that nobody really has all the answers. So we're all just trying to piece it all together, and that's what I'm going to do for you guys right here. Because to the best of my knowledge, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, at the end of the day, they're just going to be pushing. Okay, the Department of Justice really has a big hard-on for Trump right now. Okay, there's another lawsuit that's in the formation states or stages right now, and I'll be breaking that down in another video because I want to focus specifically on this special master situation. But they want to disqualify him from 2024 because just like Republicans right now, it's more or less the supporters right now, okay, who think that, oh, you should just run DeSantis because he doesn't have any of the baggage. If I have to dispel that one more time, I'm going to give myself a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So we'll just go ahead and shelve that off to the side for a moment. Powers that be think that if they just go ahead and lop off Trump's head and they make him do the perp walk, that's going to make the Democrat Party look better by comparison. Okay, I don't even know, man, but I'm just somebody, as a pure observer at this point. I don't have a horse in either race right now because, well, for one, I'm up here in Canada. I can't vote for anybody in any given election. Okay, I can't vote for Trump. I can't vote for any of these 11 attorney generals that are out there giving the support, which we'll have to investigate what they're trying to support him on, other than the fact that it's Trump. We don't like the DOJ, a bunch of emotional arguments, which they're lawyers. They could be very well doing that. But at the same time, at least there's 11 elected representatives, people that work closely with the DOJ, who are just trying to sound the alarm here saying, there's something a little bit fishy about this. So 11 states back Trump in battle with Biden administration over Mar-a-Lago raid. 11 Republican attorney generals are backing former President Donald Trump, telling a federal appeals court that the Biden administration's questionable conduct in other cases should inform its looming decision on records seized by the Department of Justice from Trump. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, that dude has larger ambitions than simply the Attorney General's office, okay? If you've been paying attention to my channel, that dude's name pops up literally anywhere. Whenever there's an interstate disagreement, Ken Paxton's name comes up. Whenever we're talking about something incredibly based going on in Texas, Ken Paxton's name pops up, okay? I think I've probably talked about him more than I've talked about Greg Abbott, and Greg Abbott's the governor, and he's running right now against the old mouth-breathing Beto, and we could run those numbers too, and just to show you how big of a dog walk that dumb inbred cocksucker's gonna get in November. Christ almighty, you just about beat Ted Cruz, who is currently in a self-ass-kicking contest with a one-legged man. Like, what the fuck are you doing with that censorship bill? I'll probably talk about that, too, in another video. But Beto narrowly lost to him, and people were already just kind of looking at Ted Cruz sideways in 2018. But now you're trying to run up against a guy who's actually serving the best interest of his constituents in Texas, and a guy who's really, no pun intended, stood up to the tyrannical forces of the Biden administration, and he's losing in every perceivable poll. And on election day itself, it's probably going to be close to double digits. It'll be interesting because Beto O'Rourke, man, he's so fucking unlikable. I don't care how many impromptu, I want to do a race with my supporters out here in Texas, and don't mind the button-down shirt that I'm doing. I'm just out here on a nice morning run. Nobody fucking believes you. You are so pathetic and so fucking fake. It'll be interesting to see who's going to end up winning by a bigger margin, okay? Greg Abbott in Texas or Ron DeSantis in Florida. That'll be very interesting. Very interesting. Both of them are just going to obviously fucking win. Like, I don't think anybody's going to fuck around this time on Ron DeSantis because, again, got to bring that up. How close we were to absolute destruction in Florida. A fraction of a fucking percentage to get crack smoking, male prostitute fucking Andrew Gillum. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable. Anyways, back to this. We're talking about a special master, not that type of special master that you find at a Motel 6 in fucking Palm Beach. All right. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and 10 other attorney generals wrote in an amicus brief the Biden administration tried to impose immigration policies deemed violative of federal law, even after a group court even after a district court ruled against them. An appeals court soon ordered the administration to stop, finding it had engaged in gamesmanship and decision-making. In another example, a majority of the Supreme Court said the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention eviction moratorium was likely illegal. Oh, so they're just running back everything that the Biden administration has done that's been shit policy that they've tried to force through. But I've got to give them credit for this, okay? At least they're trying to do their factually illegal shit. But they, at least, the Democrats here, they have the guts, they have the ambition to fucking try the system. Only, even though they get fucking swatted down, they definitely get points for trying, because that institution of fear over top of it, because everybody and their mother knew if they had just a cursory amount of information when it comes to which organizations could enforce something like, I don't know, a vaccine mandate, and how many people fearfully ended up going, well, I just can't lose my job and I just don't want to speak up about it. I'll just go and get the jab that's out there. You know, consequences be damned. I've been told it's safe and effective, so what's the worst that could happen? So yeah, long story short, yeah, just kind of glancing through the rest of this, it just kind of looks like kind of using whataboutism. Yeah, not really, gonna fly that far in the face of the Department of Justice, who again also designated concerned parents going to school board meetings, something considerably less severe than that, as domestic extremists or violent extremists, some shit like that. Basically, concerned parents were terrorists in the eyes of the DOJ. I don't think exactly they're up and up when it comes to adhering to blanket policies. Anyway, so let's get into this special master type situation. We know the support that's out there. Tensions are running high. Are we ultimately going to get to a decision on this type of stuff? Well, they got to kind of lay the ground rules first, because the DOJ has been bickering back and forth. No, we don't want the special master to be looking at that type of stuff. And this judge has been fairly active on the situation. Seems to be pretty much sticking towards the letter of the law, which is definitely a good thing, okay? And all things considered, both of these judges, hey man, a lot of people want to lob criticism, especially on the first one. He's got ties to the Epsteins. Yeah, it's funny and it's meme worthy, but outside of that, he just kind of ended up doing the best stuff that he could when it came to the affidavit, okay? And the search warrant releasing all that stuff. He stuck to the letter of the law. I don't have any complaints against him. My complaints rest at the feet of the FBI and what they were and weren't taking. Appeals court allows DOJ to regain access to classified documents seized from Mar-a-Lago. Okay. What does that ultimately mean? Because I have some ideas in my head, but clarification is what we're looking for here. A federal appeals court on Wednesday granted Department of Justice permission to regain access to around 100 documents marked classified seized by the FBI from former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate last month. Judge Robin Rosenbaum, Britt Grant, and Andrew Brashear of the U.S. Court of Appeals, the 11th Circuit, unanimously agreed the lower court likely erred in its order, which blocked the United States government's use of the documents marked classified in the criminal investigation and required a special master to review the documents. Okay. The judges also said that there's no evidence that's been presented that Trump declassified the documents when they were removed from the Oval Office, which Trump has said he did. And we also know the charges over top of this, because again, this is going to ultimately rest on what do you mean by executive privilege. This is going to be decided by judges even greater than this, in my opinion, but it's still going to result in a fucking indictment, because we've looked at the charges that are there. 3 different ones that are out there, and the verbiage in them is so vague and so nebulous. I'm probably in violation of that in some form or fashion. Cross a border in another fucking longitudinal spectrum, okay? Like, basically, if you just rub up against something, hey man, we're just going to go ahead and charge you. Now it's just going to come down to that situation whether or not it can disqualify Trump from running in 2024, because there's some verbiage in there that would say it disqualifies you from holding certain offices, but then the qualifications in order to run for president is 35 years old and legally born within the confines of the United States of America. So that's going to make for another interesting situation. So theoretically, you could have an American American citizen running for the highest office of the land behind bars, which I don't think will ultimately end up happening with Trump. He's just going to get drugged in front of a bunch of kangaroo courts needing to defend his name, drag all of this stuff out, and then just put that specter over the top of the GOP, where you have all of these mono-party idiots and just thinking that, oh, we're just going to have to go back to the type of system that didn't work before. Yeah, we just need to go back to being the party that loses with dignity, and we can't have ourselves associating with those goddamn violent mega Republican extremists. That's just one thing that could possibly happen in the future. Not saying that's what is set in stone, okay? That's just one of the many outcomes, because we aren't even close to the end of this fucking investigation. Government is trying to shield the documents marked classified from Trump's lawyers, who said they absolutely need to see them to address issues surrounding Trump's lawsuit against the government. Over 11,000 non-classified documents were also seized from Mar-a-Lago in the raid. So, what exactly is the special master going to be looking at? 11,000 non-classified documents that the FBI took? Cool. The FBI overstepped their search warrant. What are you going to do about it? It's the fucking FBI at the end of the day. You can sue them, but again, that'll just sit there forever. Just like Hunter Biden's laptop. We've had an open investigation since 2019. Haven't found a fucking thing on it. Judge in Trump records case blocks special master from viewing materials with classified markings. All right. U.S. judge in charge of disputes over records seized from former President Donald Trump's home on September 22nd blocked the special master she appointed from viewing records with classified markings taken from Mar-a-Lago. So this stems from the appeals court making that decision as well. So because it's classified, the special master can't be viewing classified documents. That sort of makes sense, but then you just got to go with what the current government says is classified or not. Okay, so you're putting a lot of faith in the government on this one, which is again always a sketchy proposition, but that's what we have right now. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, removed the approximately 100 documents seized, marked classified from her earlier order's definition of seized materials. Cannon also struck 2 paragraphs from the earlier order, one that stated the government would have to make available for inspection a plaintiff's counsel with controlled access conditions, including necessary clearance requirements, and under the supervision of the special master, the documents marked as classified and the papers attached to such document. Another stated the special master and the parties shall prioritize as matter of timing the documents marked as classified, and the special master shall submit interim reports and recommendations as appropriate. Upon receipt and resolution of any interim reports and recommendations, the court will consider prompt adjustments to the court's order as necessary. Cannon is the judge of the U.S. District Court in Southern District of Florida. All this shit went down. That's where Trump's attorneys decided to file, and that was the judge assigned to it, okay? Really didn't have anything to do with politics, okay? It kind of seems like her hands were tied on this because her bosses dropped down a decision, and it's like, well, okay, the DOJ needs back all the classified documents, so therefore the special master can't view those documents. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense when it comes to the rulings. Is the law just? I don't know about that. And realistically, nobody does, because this is just we're trying to piece this together as we go, because again, there's never been a case where executive privilege at this level has been tested or even legally vetted. And yes, you could go with all the whataboutism. Well, you could do the same thing, like when Obama was getting together the library, okay, his presidential library, he took home a lot of classified documents. Yeah, we know, but nobody prosecuted him. Same thing's going to happen for whoever's going to handle all of Biden's stuff when he's just sat out on the front porch just staring into the sun. Because God knows, man, the more I see that old fuck, the more I'm just like, just go home already, Grandpa. It's fucking sad at this point. Like, I'm probably not going to do a video on this one, but he was just leaving the stage, given a speech to the UN or at the UN, something like that. He was in front of a podium and then walked to the edge of the stage. And walk is a little bit of a loose term. He just kind of shambled to the edge of it, and he still had his arms cocked at 90 degrees, about hip weight. Or hip height, and he was just grasping them, and it looked fucking odd, and he was asking just people in the crowd, like, where do you get off the stage? It looks so pathetic. But that's the guy in charge right now. And somebody else who, whenever his presidency ends, hopefully in a couple of years, somebody's going to have to go through all of his documents in order to form some sort of records or a presidential library for himself. And they're going to end up violating this fucking National Records Act in some form or fashion, okay? Not even on purpose. I'm not even saying Trump did this on purpose. Nobody's saying he did it on purpose, except for the more nefarious actors that are out there. But does their opinion really fucking matter? So what ultimately is the Reagan appointee judge, okay, that's the guy who's doing all this stuff, Raymond Dearie, okay, odd naming, but you know what, hey, what's he ultimately going to do now? So Trump's special master reveals new plan after appeals court ruling. So a judge designated as a special master in former President Donald Trump's records case has proposed that the government officials swear that the government properly listed items taken from Trump's home in August. Okay, U.S. District Judge Raymond Dearie, the special master, also left open the possibility of recommending the government be ordered to return some of the seized materials. All right, cool, because again, 11,000 non-classified things, documents. There's a more detailed appendices of the materials, and we went through some of it, and a whole bunch of it was just kind of weird. Like, they took a whole bunch of empty folders, a couple of coffee mugs. It was all fucking weird stuff, but they took all of it that was there. Trump is also alleging a couple of other things on top of when he originally said, he took 3 of my passports. Really? The commentary class was saying. And then it came out a couple of days later. Oh, sorry about that, sir. We'll just go ahead and return those very quickly. It's almost like, Trump was right. But now he's also alleging that the FBI took his will. Like, they were just going in there fucking willy-nilly, busting down doors, you know, kicking open doors with padlocks on the side of them and just snatching anything up that they could get their grubby little fucking government hands on. Oy, oy, oy. Dearie, a George W. I thought he was a Reagan appointee. That could be completely wrong, but because he's old as fuck, was chosen by Trump's attorneys and Department of Justice lawyers. He was on the Trump list, okay, and then the DOJ was like, yeah, that's fine. Trump and the DOJ can object to the components of the plan. Cannon would adjudicate any objections. That's how this shit rolls. Dearie's case management plan starts with having government officials with sufficient knowledge of the matter submitting a declaration or affidavit regarding the inventory list DOJ officials have released. That's the one that we went through, and I think it's also linked right there as well. The official would attest that the list represents the full and accurate extent to the property seized from Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Florida residence. We know that. If the plan is put in place, Trump would then respond with a list of any of the items listed by the government that was not seized from Mar-a-Lago. Trump would also detail items that were seized but not included in the inventory. The submission shall be plaintiff's final opportunity to raise any factual dispute as to the completeness and accuracy of the detailed property inventory, Dearie said. The government would also be allowed to respond to Trump. Yeah, that's how all this shit goes. I ain't reading all that stuff. Okay. Based on the appeals court order, Cannon earlier Tuesday blocked Dearie and Trump's lawyers from viewing roughly 100 materials that were marked classified and seized from Mar-a-Lago. Dearie and Trump's attorneys are still poised to review each page of non-classified materials taken from the resort. Dearie wants the government to list each document and say whether the government filter team identified the document as potentially covered by a form of privilege, such as attorney-client privilege. It looks like all of that's been fucking swiped out of there. He's just supposed to disregard anything that he finds that's classified now, so that's interesting as well. The final log of privileged designations is due to Dearie on or before October 21st. And that's why all of this timeline shit is very interesting as well. The way that all of this stuff is going down. Because I think it was Trump's team said that the special master should have 90 days to go through all this stuff. Because again, there was a lot of stuff that was taken. Okay. And then funnily enough, the DOJ responded, no, we're going to need that done by like a week before the midterm elections, because we really want to add this to our campaign promotional material. So if you could go ahead and do that. I think they settled on something just after the midterms, something like that, okay? because again, it's a lot of stuff, and he's an old fucker, and a lot of it's kind of sensitive materials. So again, we aren't going to be getting a resolution on any of this stuff any fucking time soon. At least what I mean by that is within a week or two, okay? It's going to take a minute. You already seen that one of those things, okay? Any of the amendments needs to be due to Dearie by October 21st. We're in for another month of speculation, at least, at fucking minimum, okay? This is something that's going to loom large over the top of the midterms, and it really doesn't look like it's helping out Democrats all that much when it comes to the polling, because if you looked at that, oh boy, a lot of those races are either tightening or going much more in favor of a lot more in Trumpian-minded candidates. So, once again, this was one of the biggest fucking flubs that the Democrats could have possibly done. Okay, we know you hate Trump. Everybody knows that you hate Trump. But all this does is energize the base that was already going to be voting for you to begin with. Because, again, if you go any further than this and you don't end up indicting him, it's just going to look like the FBI needs to be gutted, and that'll energize Republicans. Or if Trump ends up doing the fucking perp walk, which you know the Democrats are just sitting back there just fucking tugging their puds about, thinking about that optics that's going to be there, that just automatically hands over a fucking landslide victory to Ron DeSantis or whoever the fuck wants to run in 2024. Like, they fucked up huge when it comes to the, oh, I'm sorry, if we're talking about this in the current context, huge fuck up, a big league fuck up. This never, ever, ever should have happened. But hey, man, just like Russiagate, just like the Steele dossier, just like the first impeachment, just like the second impeachment, the Democrats have a terminal case of TDS. And it's kind of like the political version of get woke, go broke. Acquire TDS, die by TDS. That's what they're finding out right now in real goddamn time. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.